everybody.
Hey, everyone.
Oh, God almighty.
Here we are, doing our pod.
We sure are.
Another day, another pod.
Oh, my God. What
Are
a
you
week.
going to introduce yourself?
If... This is mad.
This is Jeannie.
Jessica here.
And I'm Valerie.
Are you sure?
Yes.
Oh, oof. You've done this before. You seem so, like, deer in headlights. Like, oh, what do I do?
I just re-listened to my first
Yeah?
because one of my friends hadn't heard it, and Rose, who thinks it's the funniest thing she's literally ever heard, was like, "You have to share it with them." So my very first time on the podcast, I was not happy. I was not comfortable.
There was a lot of anxiety going on.
It's so weird to me. This isn't live. We could delete all this and
We
no
could
one will
delete
ever know.
anything.
Yeah.
Sure. I'm not like, I'm so back of the house.
Right.
I'm so back of the house. I am never talking or videoing so it took me a minute to.
That's fair. I mean, I get it.
Well, and it happens too sometimes at retreats. If I'm like, Jessica, go teach this thing really fast.
And I'm like, absolutely not, never know.
I don't know a lot,
She's like,
but
What?
I don't think that approach is trauma-informed.
No, it's not.
It's
not.
the
What
opposite of
happens when we know each other for
trauma-informed.
30 plus years.
Exactly.
Yeah, the opposite of trauma-informed
I don't know.
is...
You give me half an hour, I could teach a class on anything.
Yep.
Sure.
Same.
Yep,
You just need to stay
All right,
for sure.
teachers.
2 steps ahead. That's all you need. Stay 2 steps ahead.
So what are we here to talk about today?
Tarot.
Tarot.
Very
Okay,
excited.
my favorite.
Your favorite? Yeah. Long history of engaging with tarot cards, goofing around with tarot cards.
Speaking of long history, I want to hear. I haven't ever heard the straight history of your beginning with tarot, Valerie.
Yeah.
Oh, that's
So,
such a good story.
Yeah.
because
Oh,
I get to
there's a
talk
story? I
about
love it.
My friend Nancy.
Oh, right on.
So when Jeannie was in 5th grade and I moved to Ithaca, we shared a house with my friend Nancy. And Nancy gifted me my very first tarot deck, which was the round Mother Piece tarot.
Classic.
And when Jeannie found those tarot cards, she said, "Mom, this is inappropriate. Everybody's naked in these
Everyone is
cards."
naked on those cards.
Were
It's
they?
true. Yeah.
Wow.
And
Such a take from you. It's so funny.
I was less naked then, weirdly.
I don't know if you were.
I was.
A couple years. Yeah.
I was naked because I was in 5th grade.
Yeah,
Nobody wants to be
true.
naked in 5th grade.
True.
So I had passed, I got to the awkward adolescent phase and naked is weird.
Yep.
So I was still in that.
Okay.
Hadn't come out on the other side yet.
Yeah, but so I was gifted my very first tarot deck from my very dear friend Nancy, who has left us and is on the astral plane now.
Nancy
But
was a witch.
But I still have that deck.
You
that's
do?
cool.
Oh, wow.
I do still
Well,
have that
that's
deck.
What?
Insane.
Oh, yeah. The Mother Earth around. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the
So-
Mother Piece tarot.
Mother piece.
Was this something you knew about but sought out, or did it literally just fall in your
It
lap?
just fell into my lap.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow. I know
Yeah.
you only as the tarot master or a tarot master. So to hear it just it just happened upon you is baffling to me.
Well, you should
That
tell
was
the.
1987. So
Okay.
I've
Uh-huh.
had a long time to get good at tarot.
It's true.
Yeah.
Does that deck follow the Rider-Waite? Or is it kind of so did you learn tarot with the classic symbology?
I learned tarot with a Rider-Waite Smith deck.
Okay.
The Mother Piece tarot was more we would pull a card for the day,
Yeah.
or
More like an oracle style
I have
kind
to
of.
tell you though, I have an issue with round cards because I read reversals.
Yeah.
Mm.
Round?
Not all tarot
are
readers
shaped like circles.
read
Really?
reversals.
I don't typically read reversals.
No.
Oh, I do.
I don't.
Mm.
Oh yeah. Yeah, reversals are very important to my tarot practice.
Mhm.
And I often think of them either as their reverse tarot meaning, which there is one,
Mhm.
but also it can just be an added level of protection around that particular topic.
Mhm.
So you'll hear different people say protection instead of reversed.
For
I like
me,
that.
reversals are sometimes like a like a mirror image. Like you're kind of looking at yourself in that Alice in Wonderland through the looking glass thing. So like this is what's presenting, but it's a little not quite in alignment, right? Like, and not necessarily bad. I think some people see reversals and they're like,
Oh, yeah.
ooh.
Oh, there's definitely cards you want to have in
Uh-huh.
reverse.
That's true.
For sure.
Yeah, you want that tarot card probably in reverse.
Did you say tower?
Yeah.
Oh, I was thinking of tower. Oh, I'm
you
learning.
did such a good job.
Any of the fives? Right over.
Right, yeah. Well, you think of mom as being like the one who has always known about tarot because like
Right. You were born with this information.
she
You
read
came out of the womb already connected to the mystics.
and that's
so.
probably definitely true. And
Yeah, I was.
That's
just
how
a
you were
Christian
introduced to
back
Mom.
then.
Oh, that's right.
That was your first meeting of Val. She read your tarot.
yeah, first out of the gate.
It might have been maybe not first meeting, like the very first, but like the first weekend.
The first time you like really spent.
Yeah,
time.
like
Right, yeah.
we all went out to dinner. That was the first like meeting. But within that weekend that mom was out to visit,
Yeah, that's right.
she read your tarot.
That would explain that
Because
connection.
like at one point I went to pick up the kids from school and they're like activities and they're like, where's Nina? And I was like, what do you mean? She's home with Matt. And they were like, oh my God, no. What? Why did you leave her?
You left her home with.
Why did you leave her with him? He's going to run away. He's going to be freaked out. Like she's going to say something. It was amazing.
Crazy old.
Nope,
That's funny.
she's just reading his tarot.
Wow, that's my reputation with my grandchildren.
I mean,
that
it
age,
probably
right? They
was
were
more
like-
about Matt and what he might know or not
Right.
know than you.
It was
And they were still in middle school and high school, like right. So like weirdnesses are more intense then. and-
right.
Yeah.
right,
Or like
right.
there's definitely a charge to the weirdness without it being like embraced at all.
Yeah.
Well, this was post mom having vagina coloring books
Uh-huh.
that she let the kids color in. So, like, in their
Yeah.
mind, I'm like, what do you think she's doing? Like, giving Matt vagina coloring books at home? She's not. Like, she's not.
I have a really good one.
She knows
right
how
now.
to, like,
I'll bring it up next time I come over.
you know, interact with
How to-
someone
with
who,
adults
who hasn't
Like-
necessarily grown up with the same level of
she knows how to
boundless
talk to someone
freedom.
that is not the immediate family.
Well, can we just say that I also taught human sexuality at community college
Yes.
for 10 years?
Yep.
Yes,
So,
you can say that.
Good.
yeah.
You can 100%.
So vaginas
It's
are in your
not
wheelhouse.
like I just have.
Literally
I
wheelhouse.
mean, we made vagina puppets in my women's studies class.
We had vagina pillows on our couch
What
Yes,
does
in
that
we
high
even
did.
school. So, you know. So I think it's interesting that your introduction to mom also like kind of set that aware, like that this is one of her
Right.
main archetypes, because that was the archetype that one of the archetypes you first met.
Right. And I'm reflecting on the first archetype you saw when you met me, which was not representative of the whole picture. Not that it was misleading,
Right.
but it was
right.
also like, right, you thought I was
It's
really
just a little-
serious.
Oh.
You thought I was wearing
Right.
tweed. I had a tweed jacket that I like to wear.
Yeah,
You thought I was a
serious,
very
very
serious.
studious, very
Half right.
Knight of Pentacles.
Not even Knight of Pentacles. How would you have presented tarot wise at that
Oh.
point? Like,
What's the guy that's really buff,
honestly, maybe like
super
Emperor.
hot,
like
but also brilliant?
maybe Emperor. He had
I
like
heard you.
he had like rules, and it felt like your classroom, like nobody was goofing around or like being inappropriate in your classroom.
Well,
At least
Unless
not
it
when I
was
walked
goof around
by.
time.
right, yeah. No, I mean it was. Yeah. I mean, no one's really goofing around.
He
It
didn't
was,
smile a whole lot.
which is weird because the vibe
I
was
know.
super chill.
He
in
was
my
not.
classroom.
He was not a smiley person at work.
Well,
He
it's on high
wasn't-
school. There's not a lot to smile about. Not a lot to smile about. That's not true.
Like
I
I
had a great
remember
time.
being shocked, thinking like, "Holy crap, this man is funny."
Oh.
Like the first like date I was like, wow, I laughed so much.
That's
and I
good.
thought we were gonna have like deep conversations around like Roman
Civilizations.
coins.
And
Many of my jokes didn't have. I didn't have to be that funny because you already thought I was not funny at all.
right,
So
like
I just had to be.
expectations were like
Just
yeah,
a tiny bit
uh-huh.
funny.
I just had to be a little
and
funny.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But you are funny. So
Thank you.
Mhm. When did you
Well-
discover tarot, Jess?
you know my memories.
I know. I feel like we were doing this in
We were doing it in high school for sure.
high school. Like
right?
I
Like,
remember having a deck
Yeah.
that I bought at 3D Light on the Commons.
Mhm.
Yep.
Yeah.
That only was Major Arcana.
Oh.
Oh, interesting.
The entire deck was Major Arcana with like really specific, beautiful artwork. Like it was
Uh-huh.
just some kind of like niche thing that I found in there. So I just spent all this time trying to learn that first.
Yeah.
And then I got more
yeah,
decks, but
I actually cannot. I can't tell you what my first deck was. I can't tell you when I first started it.
Well, and now
Arcana.
there's so many different kinds of decks
Yep.
too. I mean, tarot has become trendy, and with it, it's
about damn time.
opened up a lot of different avenues for artists who
Mhm, yeah.
interpret the meanings through their own artistic,
Yep.
lens.
Yeah.
And so now we have this sort of breadth and texture to tarot that maybe we didn't have before.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yep.
Is it trendy or is it like mainstream? Is
Mm-hmm.
there a difference? I don't know.
Oh, yeah. There's a difference, right?
Okay.
I think
I would say
It's
it's mainstream. I mean, you can.
but I also think like sometimes the things I think are mainstream is because we're in a bubble.
Yeah, it's not
You can-
mainstream.
But you can
It's
buy
not
tarot
mainstream.
decks
I'll tell you.
At Barnes and
Barnes
Noble.
and Noble. Like, there's
Yeah.
a whole
Yeah, but you
section,
know
like-
what? I still get people like John. My sister's husband
Mm.
is
Oh, fully freaked out.
he's very interested
And freaked out.
in what I have to say, but he is afraid of tarot.
Well, it's in the
Really?
realm of occult, right? Like if you look like at Barnes and Noble, it's probably in the occult section,
Right,
which
right,
also
right.
includes like Santeria and like other
All
witchcrafty
sorts of
things that
things.
that
Yeah.
people might feel. And yeah, that stuff is
I didn't.
scary for.
I didn't know John felt that way about tarot.
Yeah.
That's interesting. I'm gonna blow his mind. I'd be like, I've been learning about this.
You got to bring your baseball
I
deck
should-
and like
I should,
give a
right?
little reading.
Oh, he would love that.
I know.
He would
The-
love to see a baseball deck, I'm sure.
Oh, that's funny.
I think, I think like it's hard as someone who works in the field that we work in,
Mhm.
who lives in the town that we live in,
Mhm.
to, like I go outside of this space. I mean, we just drove half the Midwest.
Well, I was thinking of my family. You've
Yeah.
definitely read cards for my sister,
Yep.
her husband.
Yep.
Right. So like they're aware of it.
I don't know if I've read cards for Jeff.
I think you did. You did definitely.
I did.
I feel like Jeff
You
would love
definitely
it.
Definitely.
Oh, Jeff would definitely love it.
You did.
I'm like, I feel sad if I haven't.
You
I
did.
have?
You have.
Okay.
I remember
That's good.
hanging out in mom and dad's living room, and you were like in the side room,
Mm.
and like you took turns, like you did. I said,
Alright.
yep, totally. But still, like they're aware of it. I actually don't know what they think for real about it. Like, what do you like? If I asked them, they'd be like, "That's this weird thing my brother's wife does. I don't even. That's the most I
No,
can tell
I
you."
don't
Or
think
it's
would
like
say
a
it that
it's like
way.
it's like a game. It's like a
Yeah.
it's like almost like reading the horoscope, right? In the
I think
in
it
the
would
Sunday
be more
paper.
like- I think it would be like, see, I just go to, I think that they really love it and appreciate it and maybe feel like it is outside of their wheelhouse or scope,
Mm.
but that that doesn't diminish or make it weird or
Yes.
othered. Like, I think they're just like, this is something some people, they know how to do this thing, as opposed to like the way that I think about tarot, which is you're reading a language, you're reading symbolism, you're reading, like you're trusting to connect with energy, and trusting the cards and being a conduit. Like, and in my perspective, everybody can do that. Like
Well, especially
any
'cause
other, like learning French.
they come with books. I mean, like, even if you're like, I have no idea, like you shuffle a deck, you pull a card, and then there's a whole write up on what it means. Like you can choose to believe that or not and take your own interpretation on it. But like,
Right.
Mm.
You
Literally
don't have
come
to
with
be
books.
some like divinely ordained by something
Right.
to be able
It's-
to read
it's not
tarot.
secret knowledge that gets passed around in back rooms.
There's no
like-
lineage where like if you didn't learn this from someone, I
Yeah.
don't know what you're learning. Now, if you ask my parents about it, that would be interesting.
Dude, I don't know, because we told your parents that we went to a psychic party and your mom was like, remember that psychic in New Jersey? And I was like, wait a second, what? Like, your mom has wild cards sometimes that just,
She
I don't
does.
even know. I don't even know. So
I can't believe you went to a psychic party and you didn't invite me.
That's
It's my
her
fault. No, I know. Next time. Sorry.
That felt very much like Mom found a pack of cigarettes, and I was like, "Those are Jessica's."
I was like, and I'm like, they are.
Jessica would be like, "Totally."
Yeah.
What?
Well,
What are they?
That was brilliant. That's the best.
Oh, yes. I remembered well.
We never smoked. Stop it.
We took that woman's information. Next time we go, or we set something
We should.
up.
I think that we
We're
should
gonna have to
a
organize
private
this. Yeah, a small party. There was
Like
too many
a-
people at the party.
People at this. We can be at the studio, but just like we
Yeah.
decide who we want to come and.
Yeah, she does private parties.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
Well,
I want to learn more
Oh,
about
yeah,
my
for sure.
spirit guides, which is what I asked about.
yeah.
Mhm.
Got some good information, but I want more.
Well, and you guys got tuned in. I feel like I was saying to Jeannie, like I got a little lost in the shuffle. There was a lot of people there, and I feel like she was reading for somebody else for me. She shouldn't have started.
It
with
was
me.
too many people in the room.
Too many people.
Too many energies
Yeah.
in the room.
Yeah.
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 And there was even another room with the same amount of people. There was a lot of
Yeah,
people.
there's a lot of people.
But,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
I mean,
And that can happen at a tarot party too, when you get
Right.
like too many energies or people who've been drinking a little too much alcohol.
Mm.
Like, then you get like somebody's vibes coming through for this person, and it
It's
gets
swirly.
very
Mm.
confusing.
Mhm.
Mhm.
sorry,
Yeah.
you're talking about parties. Can I tell the story of my first observation of Val reading tarot?
For other people.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
I love this story.
Am I going to love this story?
Sure.
Okay.
Of course.
Yeah.
It's a good story.
This was in 2000, summer of 2014, 13,
13.
maybe 2013.
Yep.
Jeannie just graduated from her first 200-hour YTT, and you had all of
Not my
your
first, but a vinyasa.
a 200-hour.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
All your classmates, which was like 20 at least,
28.
28.
There were
Um,
like 50 people at my house.
Yeah, it said just have there's a graduation or a finishing ceremony
Mhm.
that you had at the temple
Peace Pagoda,
in
Grafton.
Grafton, right? And then he's like, "Oh, let's have everyone to the house for a party,"
Mhm.
basically. So yeah, there was 28 students and their families and kids and stuff. It was lots of people, and you started reading tarot for people. We had like the L-shaped couch. You
Mhm.
sat in the corner, and like every time I would walk past, you were reading for a different person.
Uh-huh.
Every time they were in tears. They were getting some hard information. They were getting some.
There was so much crying at this
There
party.
was so much crying every single time. I'm like, oh my god.
Mm-hmm.
Ugh.
You know, it's interesting because before Zoom,
Mhm.
I used to do a lot of readings for people who weren't in Ithaca just over the phone.
Yeah.
Oh.
Mhm.
And Amy would tell people, she would say, she talks to people on the phone and makes them cry. And I was like, I don't think that's really a good selling point for my business.
It's true. Right. That's just the crying is just a byproduct
It's
of
true. Well, it depends. I think it would be a good sales pitch if you were trying to read only for Enneagram Force.
Oh. Yeah. I wanna, like, feel. Well, it's funny because when you said that your first interaction with Val was getting your tarot read, I was like, oh, because you're so powerful with your tarot readings, and you do not mince words. You do not
Right.
sugarcoat.
No
you do
sugarcoating.
not
No.
I'll be like, oh well,
This is
maybe,
fine, no
sort
matter what it
of,
is.
Sometimes Jessica's like, I pulled this card for you, and this is what it means. And I want to be like, send me the picture of the book.
yeah, and I'm
Because
like,
I
no.
feel like there's a filter here. I think you're telling me a little bit on the nice side of what this card means. Yep.
So you're just there's no filters, and
Yeah.
I love and appreciate that about your reading.
Well, and
Well-
sometimes people cry when they experience truth.
Yeah.
Like,
Yes.
it's
I mean, a lot of
an
times
Yes.
people
emotional
cry.
release
Yeah.
to experience truth.
Yeah.
Be seen, to
Yep.
feel like, yeah.
Be like,
And can I just say that I spent the majority of my career in community-based human services where people would come into my office and I'd have to say things like, I'm noticing that this is a pattern that we've experienced before. And now with tarot, I just say, cut that shit out. That's not serving you.
Yeah.
You should put your energy more in this direction.
Been here,
and
done that. Stop
that
it.
kind of stuff. Yeah,
there were
stop it.
so many times in the group process this weekend that I heard your voice being like, clear is kind. Clear is kind. Like, if you
It
can
is
be
true.
clear
Yep.
and like, you can do both of those things. You don't need to sugarcoat. You don't need to pile on all of this
Mhm.
like extra stuff and often when you do, things are misunderstood. So clear can be very, very kind.
Like, unless you're reading tarot
Absolutely.
for your best friend.
Yeah. So you're like, I'll send you a message back. So I'm going to go cry now.
Go to your crying closet.
I'm going to go to the crying closet. Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
Irish Catholic. We don't have a crying closet.
Yet.
We have a
Oh,
emotion-
stoicism
right. We have
closet.
we have a stoicism treasure chest that stays right about here
Yeah.
and is like. It's
I don't
like
know.
the-
I think your dad's getting sappier as he gets older. I do.
he better. No, he is very much so. It's
The problem is that, like, you know, if you decide that that's your persona of like, I'm not going to be mushy gushy, cry about things, like, then you get mushy gushy. People tend to not believe it. Like, they're like, what's
Oh.
this?
Hmm.
Or they're like, where was this 40 years ago? So you better just learn how to do it now.
okay. Well, I mean, you put me in front of the end of Fellowship of the Ring, and I get really close. So
Yeah. Iron
Yeah.
Giant.
the Iron Giant, definitely. Yeah, that's the best way. You ever see that movie? Oh, then why are you rolling your eyes? You should watch this movie
Mushy gushy Matt.
this weekend. It's so good.
So good.
It's so good.
Should Val pull a card for us?
Yeah, I
Like
was
this?
I
just
think
thinking that.
Definitely pull a card. Yeah. And then I want to hear, like, so I know, honey, you recently have been learning tarot and you have
have.
it all, like, you have like a little PDF of all
do.
the meanings of all the things. And then so like you've been practicing periodically pulling cards.
Mhm.
So I want to know what everybody's like card practice is. Like, when do you pull a card? Why do you pull a card? What do you do with that information? And just maybe some anecdotes around our habits around using tarot and just like
Yeah.
day-to-day stuff.
Yeah. I mean, there's so many different ways to utilize tarot. And I often tell clients that tarot is not so much predictive as it is prescriptive.
Oh, that is a
So-
great way to think about it.
Mhm.
We all have free will. Like, just because you have this message doesn't mean I must proceed along this linear path of realizing or actualizing this stuff. So it's more like, sometimes I call it a symptoms list. If people are experiencing more of a quote unquote negative type of reading. But it is something that you can utilize as a jumping off point for your practice, for your day, and whatever practice you're engaging in at the time. I mean, I think we did something at your old studio in Bennington where we pulled a card and I just put it in front of everybody's place at their yoga mat.
Yep.
So we can use it to inspire, to inform, to enlighten, to give us permission. But if you're looking for somebody to tell your fortune, that's a different kind of tarot reader.
I
Well,
like
there's
And
probably
usually
better-
one that just wants your money.
Well, and there's probably better, like, if you want that level of divination, I feel like there's better mediums,
tools,
better
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 avenues. Yeah.
Yeah.
than tarot cards.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
I love the idea of it being like a prescription, sort of, that we said.
Yeah.
Because sometimes I'm pulling, like, if I have a question, I'm like, oh my God, what am I getting? Don't pick this card, or don't pick, you know what I mean? Or like thinking like that. And I'm very new at this. I'm unlearning that.
You're doing a great job, babe.
Thanks. But I had the thought when we did a Wheel of the Year for ourselves,
Yeah.
right? And I thought the same thing. I was like, okay, what if the card is not either ideal, it's like information to have. It's like, well, how can you meet whatever the situation is, as opposed to be like, well, this is the way it is, and there is no changing it. You know what I mean? And
Right. Like, how can
Yeah.
you show yourself up if times are showing out, like they might be a little harder? Like, what do you need to do? What are your practices to
Yeah. Yeah.
meet those challenges?
So, my process is that I have an invocation that I use.
You do. I probably could recite it.
Do you want to try?
No.
So
I
it
think you
goes.
should try.
I open the channel of Divine Love and Light. Something about the good of all and harm of none.
Okay, you skipped over the whole middle, but okay.
What happens when I try to do the Hail Mary's prayer?
Oh yeah, you're like
Right.
Hail Mary, full of grace.
Thy
And
rod and
bless
thy
us, O
staff
Lord,
may
for these thy
comfort me.
gifts.
Give us this
Rub a dub
daily
dub. Thanks for the
bread.
grub. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm like, Wednesday's child is paraphrasing.
wow.
I'm like, I really
It's not
totally-
good. It's every time. I'm like, or maybe it's the ultimate prayer because it's a bunch of them up all in one.
Exactly.
It's the
Hail Mary,
remix.
full of grace. And
Yeah.
then the shepherds came out from the flock, guarding their
Okay.
flock by night.
Tell us what
Tell
your
us your
invocation
Okay.
is.
So my invocation is we open the channel of Divine Love and Light to bring forth this message for Yoga Farm community. I ask that our guides, angels, light beings, and ancestors show up, surround us with love and protection, and bring forth messages that are clear, concise, and actionable.
Oh.
Delivered for
Oh.
our highest good, for the highest good of all beings. And we ask this always in perfect love and perfect trust. And so it is.
So it is.
And I
Amen.
usually say that 3 times because
It's-
I'm a 3 times girl.
Me too.
a lot.
It's a lot.
You think that's a lot?
I'm literally like, may I receive the message that's supposed to be given right now? Like, like I'm just like,
And that's fine.
Oh, and you know
no,
what?
Yeah.
I don't say anything.
Yeah.
I do.
Well, I say it in my head.
I do Radiance Charger,
Yeah.
and then I literally open my energetic field and channel.
Physical. So you get physical.
I get. I'm totally in my body. I'm
Uh-huh.
not using
Yeah.
words at all at the
Uh-huh.
beginning. I've word budget.
Yeah.
But I like it that you have a physical invocation. That's very cool.
All physical body. Yeah. I would be curious if people of different doshas having different ways of invocating.
I mean, the fact that I'm literally like, one sentence, like, bring it on, let's go.
Right.
What's your dosha?
Pitta.
Pitta.
Oh, I'm
Pitta.
Pitta though.
Yeah,
So-
but you're Pitta Vata.
You're Pitta Vata and
I'm-
I'm Pitta
Oh.
Kapha.
It's
Okay.
your when
Mhm.
your Vata comes out, you have all the words,
Yeah.
right?
Oh.
Or like if you get nervous, then you talk like way more than you normally do. It's your Vata.
Mm.
Mm.
Interesting.
You're like, stop it. Pull a card.
Wait, but what does Matt do to
So
prep?
do we have a question?
Can we
Oh,
find out
what
what
do you
Matt
do to
does to
prep,
prepare
honey?
for
Wow. Thank you, Jess.
Yeah, no problem.
I usually just ask, tell me what I need to know. I keep it short and sweet. I
Mhm.
also, not
Because
that
you're
I,
reading for yourself.
yes.
Yeah.
Oh, the one time I pulled a card for the Yankees.
Yeah.
Oh, and during the World Series.
Mhm.
And it was game 4 because we were down 3-0.
Yep.
And if we were going to lose this game, series over, we lose, we get swept. So I pulled from the baseball deck
From the
that you
baseball
got me.
deck.
And I pulled, now the card in this deck was batting 1,000.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm looking at the little video I made. It's card number 17, which is the star.
Uh-huh.
Right. And it was like hope, faith, purpose, or renewal, spirituality. It was like the way the book described it, it was like prepare for an awe-inspiring event. And it was like, and they won. And
It
they
was.
won that game. And it was like
Well,
electric.
and Aaron
it was
Judge
awesome.
had like a moment, didn't he?
Yeah. Oh,
there was
he
something
hit,
like-
he hit a home run.
Yeah.
I think it's one of the games
He was the star.
did well,
in
right.
That game.
Yeah, but it was awesome. And then we lost the next game. Didn't win the World Series. But that's all right. The time I pulled the card for it, I was just like, dynamite.
Maybe you should pull a card every game.
I should. That's 162 cards just in the regular season.
Yes, that is.
Yeah, but I usually just say, tell me what I need to know. Let's get to the.
Well, a lot of times when I'm pulling a card for myself, just in the morning, I say, tell me what I need to know, point me where I need to go.
Oh, it's good.
Because you know I'm a witch and I like
Stealing.
rhyming things
That's
and,
good.
And so you're sing-songy.
and sing-songy. So that's often what I'll say when I'm doing something for myself.
Mm.
Mhm.
It's almost like when I practice witchcraft, I always do this thing where I say, I set my hands. And now I just do this and I don't even say the words anymore.
Mhm.
It's like I just know
Right.
my hands are set to do the working.
Mhm.
So, yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
So are we pulling card? Are we going to get 4 cards, one for each of us?
Oh, I thought we were just playing cards for the
For the podcast?
For the podcast.
for the
We're half an hour in. I don't know.
for the moment.
Do we all?
cards for the moment.
Why don't you pull a card for whatever you want to pull a card for?
I am going to ask
Oh.
for a card for myself at some point.
And
Okay.
So
okay.
for each of us. Yeah.
Who's going first?
You know, don't listen to me. I'm out of good ideas today.
Oh my God. You just stop
I'm
it.
serious. I'm okay with it.
What? Your idea was great,
Mm.
but I want a card for myself.
Okay, you're going to go first then.
All right. Then I would like
What's your question?
card for dealing with
I don't want that
my
anymore.
creativity. Well, you pulled it before you
But
even.
I have two that
boy.
came out right away.
Oh, shoot.
So, creativity, we have the Queen of Pentacles reversed. Now, this tells me that number one, you might have to operate a little more on the down low rather than being very vocal about
Okay.
things. But also, I think you're going to need to invest some money.
Okay.
Well, not just money, time,
Mm.
resources, all of those things. We tend to think of pentacles as being number one about money because oftentimes it's called coins,
Mm-hmm.
those kind of things.
If you think of resources,
But if you think
money,
of
yeah.
resources, it is the things you own.
Energy.
It's your
Mm.
home.
Mhm.
It's your
Creativity.
car. It's your
It's like the physical,
it's,
like
it's
the
a physical,
tangible
tangible.
Okay.
Yes,
Household.
Thank you.
Pentacles are usually physical plane.
physical.
Okay.
Mhm.
But I think you're going to have to
And money.
like spend some resources. And then Eight of Wands is just like fast moving energy.
Mhm.
Like
Ooh.
once you invest in yourself, things are going to start moving quickly. So be prepared for that kind of speed and efficacy. It's sort of like you land on your feet.
Hmm.
Like your cat dropped from the roof and you land on your feet because you've
From the roof.
invested the time and resources
All right.
to learn what you needed to know.
Okay.
And when queens show up in reverse, I really like to say this, and I know I said it before, but we tend to tell people about what we're doing all the time.
Hmm.
And queens
Even Matt?
like to play their cards a little closer to their chest. So also, a Queen of Pentacles reverse could mean that you're not spending enough time on self-care.
Oh, okay.
Your self-care is in protection.
Mm.
It's a good thing we're going to be at Kripalu.
Absolutely. That's
Bubble bath.
perfect.
Bubble bath.
Bubble bath.
See, I'm so glad I asked. I love that.
That's perfect.
I love it. You know what? I love it.
Can we just take a little moment here to say that I'm going to be teaching my second Intro to Tarot class for Yoga Farms starting March 15th?
Yeah,
Absolutely.
sure can.
15th. Is it a 6-week course?
It's a 6-week
Nice.
course. Yes.
Yeah.
I think it's 5 weeks
Oh.
that you gave me dates for.
It should be 6. So let's
Let's make
change
sure it's
that.
6.
That last one is TBD.
It was
week.
hard enough squeezing everything into a 6-week
It
class.
could be a 6-week class.
Well, yes.
it should be up on the website next week. It will be
6
clear.
live classes,
live
like one
classes.
class a week.
Yes.
Okay,
Yep.
6
And
live
then
classes.
Monday nights are my office
Monday
hours.
office
So,
hours, yep.
Yeah.
Nice. All right.
Yeah.
The Zooms
So
are
what's
made,
your
so.
question, Miss Jeannie?
I don't have a question. I just would love to know if there's anything that I get to pay attention to.
Yeah. Decisions,
Oh.
choices, being on the precipice of a dilemma. Like the 2s are about balance,
Two of
you know,
Swords.
all the 2s. And Swords is the suit of mental
Mm.
activity, thoughts, all that kind of stuff. And this is about having to make a decision where there's not really a good choice.
Love it. It's great.
Yeah.
Awesome.
So, and when you think about your position as a director of Yoga Farm,
Mhm.
you're always probably making decisions that some people will be happy about,
Mm.
some people will not be happy about.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So it makes a lot of sense to me.
Yeah. Being a director in an organization is a little bit like my experience of raising teenagers, right? So like, and not because of the people.
Thankless, and it never
No,
ends.
and not even because of like people, but because of the structure of like, you know, you make a decision about dinner and someone's not thrilled and someone else is very happy. You make a decision about where to go on vacation. You make a decision about like, you know, what the weekend is going to look like. And so I learned, I think, through parenting the 3 girls of like, yeah, not everyone's going to be happy all the time. And that sounds like something they get to work on.
Well, one of the things that I like to tell people is, because Jess brought up books, and you can always go to the book and look it up. I always ask my students to not go to the book right off.
Oh, man.
And to actually look at the card. And maybe
If it's the Rider Waite.
any
Oh,
card.
I don't know, because I feel like sometimes, I mean, I want to say if you have a deck that you really align with the artwork, right? Because so much symbology and resonance in some of my decks that aren't Rider Waite.
Sometimes I think they're way out there though. Like I have one deck where I'm like, it feels very like minimalist and abstract art, and I'm like, I would have no idea if I didn't know what this card was.
And some people aren't good. Like I actually like that's not like a strong suit of mine to like look at something and be like, these are the things that bubble up for me. You know what I mean? So, like, it's not, like not everybody's like good at that either, right? So I mean, then you can practice and hone it. But I mean, I was immediately been like, oh, she's blindfolded. I mean, she's protected. She has 2 swords, but she's also blindfolded, and like, so the symbology on this one, sure.
So interesting you bring up not looking at the book, because I do the same thing and trying to learn about it. I go right to the book. And more often than not, all of the descriptions say, like, if you notice on the card, someone is pouring 2 pitchers and they have swords, and they always reference the artwork. And I never once thought to be like, oh, let me pay attention to the card. You know what I mean? I never thought to do that until right now.
When we were doing our Wheel of the Year, you were like, you know so much about these, like, because I was just like, I flip over a card, and I'm like, oh, da la 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 la, like, wow, I'm like, it's kind of in the picture, for me. I mean, then this was a pretty I mean, it's not Rider, it wasn't Rider Waite that we used. It was the Luna Soul Tarot, but it's very similar images, but with like a more modern feel, less like gender binary, you know, good, bad. But less binary in general in the deck.
And since we're talking about pictures, we often refer to the traditional deck as the Rider Waite deck, but Pamela Coleman Smith is the artist. So all the texture and symbolism of these cards really were brought to life by this female artist who never got credit for her work.
Because when was the Rider Waite introduced? I mean, it's
pop quiz.
Early 1900s, I believe, or maybe late 1800s. It's relatively new. Runes are a much more ancient form of divination. That and throwing bones. You know, water witching,
and even playing cards were used, right? Like,
playing cards were used for sure.
Yep.
So, Jessica,
I don't know. I'm always like, oh, question. You can just see what it wants to tell me.
See what wants to come out.
Tell me.
What does Jessica need to know? And here's the thing: don't rush your deck. Like you wait. Or at least I wait for them to pop, like this one just did.
It popped. Oh,
so we've got the 9 of Swords reversed.
Reversed.
Now,
this is one you want in reversal.
This is one of the cards that you like to show off reversed. It's like, I have realized that I'm making too much of this thing that's giving me anxiety. And instead of reaching for those thoughts that caused me to lose sleep at night, I'm going to reach for the comfort,
not sleeping,
the quilt, The bed has beautiful carvings on it.
Yeah.
The pillow, everything is there
I
for your
mean,
comfort.
Bring me a card about comfort and sleep.
And releasing worry.
And
Yeah.
releasing worry.
Releasing worry.
If you look at this card, and I know we're on a podcast, but
There's a
in
camera.
this card, the swords are elongated. They're running right off the side of the card.
Oh.
So it often indicates that we're making more out of something than we need to, or
Right.
we're ruminating or
Well,
fixated
When I think
on
about that, like
something.
they can't actually. They're kind of like caging you in, but they can't poke you, right?
Mm.
Like,
True.
yeah.
Oh.
But swords on the sides can slice you.
No. They're like butter knives on the sides.
See, now,
And anxiety kind of slices through your brain.
Does.
It really does.
look at that. Now, I'm just referencing my cheat sheet that I have, and I'm looking at the 10 of swords.
Ah,
And if I'm just going by the image, someone has been stabbed to the death 10 times on the beach. So,
Yeah.
is this like a Trojan War thing? Like this
Betrayal.
It's a betrayal
Ooh.
and
person?
ending, like a painful
Yeah.
ending.
Well, I'm
Done.
starting to think of the person looks face down, so they were stabbed in the back.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's all
and
there.
that's-
It's
all
all in the
there.
picture.
That's often the case with the Ten of Swords, is that sort of stabbed in the back kind of feeling. And it's interesting because last year at Reggae Fest, so I show up at Reggae Fest and I just read for tips and give them to Yoga Farm or whatever. So this man comes up and his daughter wanted to get a reading. So I did a little reading for his daughter, and he found that interesting enough that he was like, okay. And I started reading for him Ten of Swords right out of the box. And I'm
Whoa.
like, you've been deeply betrayed. And I don't remember what the cards were afterwards, but he was like looking at me and he was like, we actually took this trip because I was deeply betrayed at work and I needed to get away for the weekend. And we found Reggae Fest and I came here.
Oh.
Wow.
Wow.
It was like,
Shoot.
oh, I love you.
Is it getting dark in here?
I love
No,
Okay.
I love that
I love this
all
betrayal for you.
that
Thank
worked
you.
out, that I was right.
Now, was she right?
Cards were
The
right.
Oh, the
cards were
cards were
right.
right.
Cards
The
were right.
cards
She
were-
was that divine channel.
I was
Right.
kidding.
I do have to say, there's a certain feeling that I have when you started explaining the card. I was just like, okay, here it comes. I'm about to be wowed. Seriously. Like,
Mm.
whenever you like, I don't know what it is. It's just the way you just not only describe the card, but like all its potential meanings. I don't know. I'm just like, my mind's going to be blown. And
Well,
it
that's
is
what
every
you
time.
said. That was exactly what you said after Mom did your reading.
Yeah.
Because I didn't listen. I don't even think I was there when you got
Yeah, you might not have been there.
I wasn't there. And so then I just kept trying to get information. I'm like, because Mom's not gonna tell me. So I'm like, what did they say? What happened? What did Mom tell you? Like, I was trying to dig, and you're just like, I don't know. Like my mind is just blown. Like, your mom is like an oracle. I don't know what's going on. Like, there was how did she know?
And you're like, okay, but know what?
Yeah. Right. Yeah, like, but what did she tell you?
I remember saying the Oracle. I remember that.
yeah. It was funny.
but actually, I have my own guides, angels, light beings,
Yes.
and ancestors who have guided me through this. And I have to tell you that sometimes I'll read a card and the traditional meaning will not come through.
Mm.
I had a different client who came to me because she was convinced that her husband was having an affair. And she wanted to know if he was having an affair or not. And I start pulling cards, and all I keep hearing is golf, golf, golf. And I was like, does your husband play golf? And she's like, yes, I think that's where he's meeting up with this
This
woman.
Floozy.
Hussy.
And I was like, it's not a woman.
It's
It's
just
golf.
golf.
Golf, yeah.
And she went back home after that reading and she said to him, I want to spend more time with you now that you're retired. We have this time together and you're always playing golf. And he said, well, I've waited a long time to be retired and I'm not going to stop doing what I'm doing. And she was like, peace out. I'm moving to Myrtle Beach because I want to live on the water. And she is like this amazingly happy, living single person at the beach with her dog.
She's like, in my mind, retirement is us hanging out. And he's like, in my mind, retirement is me golfing.
Yeah.
It's fascinating.
Yeah.
I
Love
think
that.
like she was having like she was like, he's having an affair. He's not around. He's not present. He's doing something. He doesn't. So immediately he's having an affair, which would have been an out. And like
Oh,
she was
that's true,
possibly
too.
looking for an out.
Mm.
Like, well, if this is true and I can know this, then I could be like, this is a problem. And instead what happened, she got to what was more true
Uh-huh.
and got to be like,
Still got to have the out.
I don't care what you're having an affair with, whether it's a human being or a game. Like, bye. Because
Exactly.
I have needs that need to be met. That's
He was having an affair with solitude.
you know,
Aw.
sometimes.
Could be.
Mm-hmm.
Could be. So sometimes it's just like what I hear through the ethers. And, you know,
That's why when you say to me that I'm learning, you're like, do a reading for me. I'm like, I don't hear things like that. I can't do that yet. I'm such a novice. I need to learn more. Or I need to let go of the fact that I haven't learned as much as I think I should have.
And just do it,
And
right?
just do it.
And just do it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
well, limiting beliefs,
Yeah,
they'll affect any practice, right?
true.
If
Well,
you think you
sometimes-
can, you can.
Mhm.
And if you think you can't, you can't.
Sometimes I think there's something to be said too about how people feel comfortable getting, it doesn't have to be tarot, but tarot readings, Reiki, yoga, private yoga sessions, like from someone who isn't necessarily a master at the
Mm.
craft, because it feels less intimidating to be completely in that, like, I know nothing about this space,
Mhm.
right?
Mhm.
I just think I don't read tarot very often, and when I do, it's always I don't think I've ever officially read tarot for somebody who has had tarot read before.
Oh, interesting.
It's always like, I mean, unless I'm
Newbies.
doing it for friends or like
Yeah, yeah,
family,
sure.
you know,
But, like,
but if
people that, like,
somebody,
Come to you, they pay you.
if somebody I
like,
do not know if I'm reading
they're always newbies
every
to
single
tarot.
time, I've never had a tarot reading in my life.
Huh.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, but these are also people, right, probably that feel super comfortable with you in other aspects. So then they find out you did this and they're like,
Right.
Mm.
yeah.
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 Yeah, but that has always been, I mean, it happens less so now because we live in Ithaca. And like I said, it's like, it feels like it's normal here. Like, I don't think anybody would really bat an eye if you were at a big dinner party and you were like, so I went to my tarot reader last night. Like, nobody would be
Right.
like, what?
Right.
They'd
be like, give me their contact info. Do you like
Right,
them?
right. Do you like them?
Yeah.
Like, are they close? When we lived near Vermont, it was very like nobody was reading tarot. Nobody was, like when you came into my yoga class and did that for students at the end of class, like that was very unusual in that area too. So I think like
You had a
I
line
actually
around the
called the
building.
directions in and opened the circle at your graduation too.
Yep.
Right. Yeah.
Which a lot of people don't. A lot of people think I only do tarot.
Yeah.
Mm.
I mean, maybe not people in this community that are listening, but
True.
I
True.
think that
Right. It's kind of your most prominent persona, like out on
Mhm.
social media, right? And like,
Yeah.
yeah.
and
Yeah.
that's what you do like as a vocation.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Like, I don't think that people know how often you do like house blessings or house protections or
Mm-hmm.
things like that.
Mhm.
Um,
Festival celebrations, that kind of
Whip
stuff.
up a spell.
whip up a spell,
Well,
whip
we
up an
just-
amulet.
We just did our whole kitchen witchery class,
I
which
know.
was amazing.
It was so cute. I was in Mighty Network posting about the retreat, the Witch Camp retreat, speaking of witches. And I happened to like land on your page and everybody's sharing their breads that they made. I don't go into Mighty Network often. And I was like, it's so cute in here. Everybody made bread.
It is cute in Mighty Network. It's
Yeah.
cute in there.
It was cute in there.
So
Well, but you told me to go live from Mighty Network, and I can't figure it out.
I'll
So you
help
have
you.
to teach.
I'll help you.
Yeah, because then I could do a lot more like daily card pulls and
Mm.
things
Yeah.
like that people might enjoy.
Well, and, Mighty Network right now, I think you saw my post yesterday. Like, I'm having this realization that all those years ago, because at one time when we did yoga teacher trainings, every single cohort that we had had their own Facebook group.
Right.
So there was the place to do like your academic stuff. And then there was the space to connect in community. And they were not in the same space. And the community space was a Facebook space. And when we transitioned probably 3 years ago now to Mighty Network, it was like, this is a platform, our online academy, where both of those things can happen in one place.
Yeah.
And now with all of the shenanigans on social media, like, I'm like, people are out there like, where can we gather? Where can we be? This place doesn't feel safe. This place doesn't feel safe. And I'm like, Mighty Network is, because it's private and we pay for it to be private, like to be in that community, like being behind that private paywall as opposed to an open, free platform that then makes its money on advertising and people manipulating algorithms and clickbait and all that. It's a different. So Mighty Network is very cute.
It's very cute.
It is, and I love that because number one, I'm just done with Meta. I just am. But also when I was doing Tea and Tarot Weekly on Facebook, oftentimes I would get the same people showing up week after week after week asking the same question.
And the answer was dump him.
Exactly.
Quit the job.
Exactly. They were always asking a question over and over again that they just didn't like their answer. And that's the thing about tarot, is that it will start to screw with you if you keep asking the same question over and over again, expecting different results. It's sort of like you're disrespecting the energy.
Well, it's kind of like, to go on your prescriptive metaphor, it's kind of like something's going on and you don't know what it is. And so you look at it in WebMD.
Right.
And then you keep Googling your symptoms and it just gets worse. Every Google, every single rabbit hole you go down about that symptom, it's getting worse. So
That's how
tarot cards will do it too.
You're now dying.
that's how I got lupus,
Yeah.
And my sister still says, when I'll complain to her, oh, my back is hurting today, she'll be like, it's probably your lupus acting up.
So bad.
And really what it was, just so nobody thinks that I'm really sick, but I was starting to have more hair loss, but it was from stress. So, but if you look it up on WebMD, it's one of the major symptoms of lupus.
Oh my God, Mom.
Oh my God.
Amazing.
Yeah. Anything else?
I think
Closing
one
thoughts.
of the things that I like to say to people is, look at the cards and how they interact with each other. Because I think that this is one place where we kind of get more information. So I just pulled 4 random cards off the top of the deck, but we're looking at, first we have the 10 of Pentacles, which is the legacy card, the inheritance card, the family, of choice, origin, whatever. And then it's followed by the Queen of Wands. But the Queen of Wands is looking away from the 10 of Pentacles. And the Queen of Wands tends to be more about fun and creativity and lightening up and, that kind of thing. What she is looking at is the 4 of Swords in reverse. This tells me you're having too much work, not enough fun, and you're not resting enough. And then 5 of Pentacles reversed. 5 of Pentacles upright is the poverty card. Reversed, it's like sort of, if you want to get better, you need to focus on that rest in between activities. That's what's going to lead you to ultimate success. So you want to look at the cards and see,
It's a
look,
story,
they're both
right?
looking at the Four of Swords. Like
Longingly
they're out
on
in
the
the cold.
cold.
They're out in the cold.
But like, it's not so bad there.
And they're like, oh, I should have gotten more rest.
Mm.
You know, so it's just interesting how the cards then start talking to each other.
Mhm.
And different spread formations can give you different information.
Mhm.
So, and in our course, actually, there's digital downloads for tarot spreads.
Yeah.
You know, and we get to do the breakout groups, which I love, because then people get to practice and get to know each other. And I can just pop in and say, hey, have you thought of this? Did you think of this? Blah, blah, blah.
So cool.
But people are always way more talented than they give themselves credit for.
That's what I noticed at Witch Camp when we did the tarot circle, and watching them pair up and like support each other and interpreting the cards. Like, it was just so sweet and
Well,
connecting. And then also like reassuring each other, like, no, yeah, that makes total sense that, you know, like that you picked up on that. Like the affirmation. I love that.
Yeah.
And we had done a tarot circle at another retreat and we didn't pair them up. And what I noticed was then they were looking at us.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, you know, they were just like, oh, well, you must have the answers because I don't. Where like when you paired them up, like they got to kind of be just in a smaller,
Yep.
more,
There's no gurus
more engaged.
in tarot.
No gurus, tarot.
And
Gurus here either.
one of the things I like to tell people to be on the lookout for is anybody who creates a dependent relationship with you. Like, I've told people before, I am not going to read for you again for 6 months because they keep coming back and
Right.
wanting the next step and the next step.
Yeah.
That's not what this
The
is
next
about.
hit.
Right. Yeah. Well, it's like they want the next answer before they take action on something,
Yeah.
right? Yeah. I mean, it's hard not to because I think of look at the cards and I think of something. I'm like, I would like to pull a card now. I'm like, do I have a question? What information do I want to have right now? Like, do I need to know something? And sometimes I'm like, I don't actually have a question. So like, I'm just going to wait. Like, wait until something comes up where I'm like, I could use a direction or something. Yeah. Something like that. So but-
Sometimes I
yeah.
pull a card as like what is an energy that I can call in or cultivate. And then I might build an entire altar around that card. Like that card goes on my altar and whatever the like theme or energy is, like, it just brings me into it. So then whenever I look at that altar, it's a reminder of like, oh, I can invoke this card, this archetype of the card or this energy of the card too.
Well,
I
feel like
love that.
so many things where like there's more creativity and like, let's say, leeway, but you around it then just like, well, this is the card and what it means, which is like where I'm stuck because it's like I know so little about it still. But hearing everyone's like, you know, pull a card for like, oh, well, like, you know, what energy do I need today, or what energy will I need for this thing I'm about to do? It's like, if you can think about it, ask, kind of thing. I mean, yeah.
Yeah, that's
for
how
sure.
I pull cards typically. I typically pull them for friends and I'll pull them around like new moon, full moon, something going on, their birthdays, and it's generally a very general, like, what's the energy that's coming at them? What's the energy that they should be like embracing?
Nice.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yep.
Yeah, awareness. You know, awareness is a very potent tool.
Yeah.
Nice. Well, as
right.
most podcasts, I learned a lot, and this has been fascinating. Serious.
Yeah.
I
And don't
love it.
forget, Valerie's got another tarot class coming up starting on March 15th.
March
Running for
15th.
March
6 weeks.
15th. And we were going to do something maybe for people who took it the last time so they could get a refresher.
Yep, there'll be a refresher rate. We'll send out an email, so keep your eyes open if you were in the last class with Val. And yeah, for those of you who haven't, it's worth every penny. So
Nice.
Yeah.
Awesome.
sign up.
Absolutely.
All right.
And we have so much fun.
Yeah.
It is so much fun.
So much fun.
All right. Thanks, everyone, for the Wi-Fi pod. This is Matt.
This is Jeannie.
This is Jessica.
And this is Valerie. Thanks so much for having me.
Oh, you're welcome.
Oh, star on the horizon, which number lights the path